Hello all, thanks for watching. Christine Brown recently spoke out about some of the most intimate moments and challenges of her marriage to Cody Brown. While speaking in a one-on-one episode of Sister Wives, Christine explained how miserable she had become prior to their breakup in 2021 after being together over 25 years. Talking to the host, Sukanya Krishnan, and her current husband, David Woolley, Christine acknowledged she felt disgusted with herself for spending so much of her life on Cody. She related that in her relationship with David, there is a presence all the time and emotional stability she never experienced in her previous relationship. Christine indicated that she never knew when Cody would arrive or how he would act while she was with him. Their lives were always fixed on his needs and his agendas, which made her utterly lost and disrespected. Christine and Cody have 6 children together, yet she explained how even with so many kids, all of it still somehow had to work around Cody. The rest of them had to accommodate their lives so that they could fit him in, and it was never ever the reverse. She now finds it embarrassing that she let herself live like that for so many years. After leaving the marriage, the other sister wives, Mary and Janelle Brown, also decided to break up with Cody. Today, Cody is left with only Robin Brown. In a recent episode, Cody announced that he has no desire to have anything to do with polygamy anymore. He stated that he doesn't want the stress, the uncertainty, or the problems with trust regarding plural marriage anymore. Janelle Brown also had an unexpected revelation. She revealed that in retrospect, she's not certain that she would have wed Cody if they'd gone out longer. Their spiritual wedding occurred in 1993, 3 years after Cody wed his first wife, Mary. Janelle feels now that perhaps she leaped into the relationship without really knowing what it would become. She's now contemplating a spiritual divorce from him too. Though they're apart, Janelle and Cody still don't see eye to eye on what happened in their relationship. Janelle explained how the tension and emotional tension finally got to her and resulted in her saying she was finished. Cody countered by saying she was playing victim, but Janelle responded. She said all she wants is her feelings, emotions, and boundaries to be respected. She had no qualms about playing a victim role and drew attention to how Cody tends to criticize the women involved in his life, such as Robin, Christine, and Mary, rather than taking it upon himself. Christine's experience has also become more emotionally significant. She described how, throughout her marriage, she was so dedicated to controlling Cody's moods, plans, and needs that she lost herself entirely. She does not regret loving him, but she does regret all that of herself she gave away while doing so. Now married to David Woolley, Christine experiences the emotional tranquility she had once believed was not possible. She explained the difference between past and present, stating David is always there, reliable and loving. She never has to question whether or not she is important. After years of spiritual duty and emotional turmoil, Christine has rediscovered her voice. No longer silenced by the demands of plural marriage, she now speaks with confidence and clarity. The experiences might have been agonizing, but they have made her a stronger and more self-conscious person. She looked back into the past, recalling how the man whom she used to share a spiritual connection with would often leave the family in a state of ongoing uncertainty. We never knew when he would appear, either emotionally or physically, she added. That kind of unpredictability chips away at your soul. As a mother to several children from that former marriage, she poured nearly all of her energy into the family, often neglecting her own well-being. Her life became a cycle of self-sacrifice, where every decision was shaped by his preferences. We didn't live, we adjusted, she explained. Each plan, each tradition, each holiday had to be changed or postponed to accommodate his ideal. Her eyes, which held equal measures of sorrow and resilience, paused as she continued. That's not how a family ought to work. One person's comfort shouldn't be the center around which everyone else orbits. Remembering the years she spent trapped in that pattern was acutely painful. "It's difficult to say out loud," she admitted, "but it's shameful. I let myself be belittled. I forgot to struggle for my own happiness." On her wedding day with her current partner, she felt like a bride and so much more. She felt like she was born again. The marriage ceremony, which took place in a religious red rock site renowned for its spirituality, was a turning point in her life. Wearing a white gown that glittered under the desert sun, she was not only filled with love, but with the beauty of reclaiming herself. Friends and loved ones witnessed more than just vows that day. They witnessed a woman who had weathered loss, healed, and rose up stronger. The parts she had felt she had to play were shed. There were no longer masks of obedience, no veils of silence, only honesty. Thinking back on her childhood in a household ruled by antiquated customs, she recognized how little room there had been for individual expression. "We were always responding, never initiating," she explained. Every move forward had to be sanctioned and emotions suppressed to prevent upsetting a delicate equilibrium. But instead of speaking bitterness, she spoke because she hoped to empower others who remained stuck in the same systems. "To anyone who feels unseen," she told them, "please know that peace exists. You don't have to stay where you feel small." Her husband appended a tender comment that reiterated what everyone had already observed in their relationship. Consistency. "He doesn't merely say he loves me," she said with a grin. "He shows me every single day." It was a type of love she had not previously known to exist. While her past man, a former believer in plural marriage, has publicly distanced himself from the lifestyle he once preached. In a recent interview, he confessed that the polygamy chapter was closed for him. The psychological cost and the ravages of shattered relationships had altered his stance. To her, his confession was not a surprise, but merely affirmation of what she already knew and had acted accordingly. Her leaving was not motivated by resentment, but by survival. She was already in the thick of constructing a new existence, one that dignified her sense of worth and emotional needs. Those who observed her transformation note a different kind of light in her now. She no longer plays by other people's script, she does her own. "It's not that I regret loving him," she said. "It's that I regret losing myself in the process." Her vision for the future is not based on fantasy, but on realistic hope. She knows both the strength of finding herself and the hurt of leaving that self behind for too long. Her journey now is one of evolution, not erasure. Surrounded by love that sees her clearly, she proceeds not waiting for joy to arrive, but striding directly toward it. No longer hidden beneath the censors and mandates of religious and communal obligations, her narrative is a light to others struggling to discover their own. With every truth she tells and every memory she restores, she reminds the world that healing is possible, and it begins with choosing yourself. In a raw and unflinching moment on a recent TV interview, this woman, so known for her quiet strength, revealed the lessons she's learned since her prolonged spiritual marriage. She reflected on the whirlwind that brought her into a shared existence with a man who over time revealed to her his real nature. What started out with hope, trust, and aspirations for a future, made together slowly disintegrated through emotional battles, changing priorities, and a changing perspective on what partnership meant. With time-honed clarity, she now views her tale in a different light. She no longer dreads questioning the things she used to take for granted as fate. Talking freely, a rarity in discussions so intimate, she acknowledged that if they had been offered genuine time to comprehend each other, everything could have gone differently. Had we allowed our relationship, though she spoke quietly, the accumulation of years spent struggling to bend her spirit to another's will hung in her words. She hadn't even come to understand just how little time she'd had to really know what she was getting herself into until she saw a more deliberate, slower approach to courtship between the same man and one woman who came into the family many years later. That comparison showed her something she had not been willing to acknowledge. that her own experience had been rushed, pressured, almost spontaneous. She had gone along with the man spiritually years earlier after he had been previously committed to another person. It wasn't about falling in love at first sight at the time. It was about belief and hope that, as two, they could create something enduring and significant. And for a time, they did. They shared homes, raised children, and navigated the emotional challenges of plural living. But over the years, the cracks started to show. She began to realize that maybe she had never truly fit the mold he expected. The relationship, once a shared vision, became something unrecognizable to her. She had blunted her edges, silenced her doubts, and silenced her own voice. When the family's narrative was broadcast in its most recent season, the collapse played out in real time. Each woman hit a breaking point, a place where it felt like staying would mean erasing herself, so they broke one by one. What was left was a man hanging onto a spiritual construct, now sustained only by the last person still willing to remain. There was nothing sudden or melodramatic in her leaving. It was peaceful, steady, a choice made through emotional exhaustion and self-respect. Her former partner had not gained clarity. "I don't know what caused the breakdown," he had said, "but the rage just continued to build until we were both finished." Her conclusion was not an isolated event. It was the product of years of being invisible, of unmet needs, and loose boundaries. She didn't speak her truth to garner sympathy or to be seen as a victim. "I'm not trying to play the role of someone who was wronged," she explained. "I just want what I feel and what I need to count." Her tone was firm, not acerbic. She wasn't accusing him, she was being honest. And the honest fact was this: spiritual connection is not enough to carry a relationship. Not without mutual respect, honest communication, and emotional work. One of the most difficult conclusions of her process was realizing how frequently the needs of a single man-based family dominated her existence. She had been trained to yield, to give up, and to accommodate, even at the expense of her own peace. And ultimately, that was what dismantled everything. And now, having crossed over to the other side, she realizes what freedom is all about. Shealing has started, slowly at first, but surely. It was an exercise in survival, not rebellion. And though her former partner continues to be bewildered and even disappointed, she is confident of her decisions. He's still bound by a dynamic that to many of us appears ever more precarious. His attempt to stand with one last ally while dismissing the voices of the ones who departed has only served to alienate him further. In the meantime, those women are forced to defend their realities, while he keeps spinning his version of things, painting himself as misunderstood. But she no longer labors under that burden. The selective narrative, the blame, the manipulation, they no longer control her. His perception of what their past was will not dictate her future. She owns her narrative now. She owns the pain, the healing, and the strength it took for her to move on. Their path, once spiritual, once partnered, is now a testament to how even long-term engagements can be reconsidered and let go when they no longer promote emotional well-being and self-esteem. She not only had the strength to leave behind, she had the strength to state out loud that she might have done something different if she'd had more time to really know the man she married so many years ago. This next chapter is one of reclaiming, of redefining herself outside the walls of that religious construct. She is learning what it means to be honored, heard, and above all, to love herself unconditionally. Her voice is still a strong reminder that no matter how long the path to truth may be, it is always one to take.